All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are in game number 2. We did not catch game number 1 since we were busy in the other series, but here we are in game number 2, spawning down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. The red Protoss player, give it up for puCK, sitting up at 1-0 and representing his school. Go Dragons! Now that's what he always tells me whenever I told him he was teamless. He would always tell me like, no, I'm representing my school. Go Dragons. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll start saying that now. But up here in the top right, we have the blue Protoss player from Storm Gaming. Has definitely been playing very, very well the past couple of weeks, but has an uphill battle coming back versus his opponent. Give it up for Storm Gaming's PiLiPiLi. Now, I will say in the IEM Shenzhen qualifier, I mentioned this earlier, PiLiPiLi did manage to beat puCK. But it was a very, very close series, and PiLiPiLi may have a bit more trouble this time. I know puCK sometimes, after he is not doing so well, it continues to not do quite as well later on in the qualifiers. He's definitely a player that I think does his best when he's in the winner's bracket. That's something I will say about puCK. He does his best as long as he's in the winner's bracket. And I think in the loser's bracket, maybe has a little bit harder of a time than some other players who I think are a little bit more suited for the comebacks. But we'll see how this goes. PvP, a very, very dynamic matchup. Both these players are actually going to go for the Stalker opening. I think that, in fact, we have just one gateway out for PiLiPiLi, which is a bit of a mix-up from what I generally end up seeing in this matchup. PiLiPiLi not really getting a great scout out on his opponent, whereas puCK getting the money scout, first scout out. And that's always really nice, because if you can identify, for example, as a Protoss player, hey, my opponent opened with a single gateway, I can actually be a bit more aggressive with my Stalkers. I can move straight across the map because he's only going to have one Stalker. And that's really nice. And of course, PiLiPiLi not going to have the same sort of benefit. But he's going to move up to the ramp. Oh, PiLiPiLi, you got to be very careful about how far out you move, because you do know you're on one Stalker, and there's a chance that your opponent moves out with two Stalkers. And yeah, he's going to just set it on patrol over here. He's going to scout out these two Stalkers and immediately retreat back. Luckily, the defender's advantage, he gets out his own Stalker, but already loses some of the shields on one of them. He's not exactly getting the best trades over here. Pylon's going to finish up, and the threat of a Photon Overcharge is going to be enough to push puCK back for now. But Robotic Facility coming out from puCK. Honestly, PiLiPiLi probably didn't even need to scout that out to know this. Well, hold on, wait a second. Was that a Robotic Facility? No, it was a Robotic Facility from PiLiPiLi. puCK is the player that you normally just anticipate, hey, he's going for a Robo, he loves his Robo, but I will say, he is not afraid to go for his Stargate or every so often. It's probably just much less often than a lot of other Protoss players would do. Most other Protoss players will go for Robo, Twilight, I would say like once every, 5 out of 7 games. puCK will go for it maybe once every 9 out of 10 games. It's substantially more often. puCK already losing one of the Stalkers over there, and PiLiPiLi going to feel pretty happy about that, even if he did end up using a Photon Overcharge. I got that right, correct? Yeah. Ooh, Sentry actually lost for PiLiPiLi though, so a bit of trades here and there, losing some of that energy that you'd like to use for not only Force Seals, but the hallucinations to keep an eye on your opponent. Both these players end up getting out the Robotic Facilities. Immortal immediately coming out for PiLiPiLi. I would say a little bit riskier just because he doesn't know a whole lot about what puCK has been up to. He now moves in, I guess, with the Observer and sees, okay, yeah, you got up your Robo, you got up your Twilight Council. I don't have to worry about too much in terms of needing a fast Observer out back at home or anything. But the Immortal's going to be enough to push back these Stalkers. Blink is coming up for puCK, and puCK is definitely a player that loves his Blink Micro. And if there's one way that puCK is going to vastly, I think, potentially outplay PiLiPiLi, it is with superb Blink Micro, because puCK is one of those players that he doesn't just get out Blink, he also gets out a Warp Prism, and he uses Blink twice. He blinks back his Stalkers with Blink, and he uses the Warp Prism to pull them back after they've taken damage a second time. It's a really, really difficult bit of micro to pull off, but hey, you know what? When you're puCK, you can do that. PiLiPiLi, generally, when I end up seeing PiLiPiLi take advantages, it's positional advantages or it's a little bit of tech advantages like smart decision making, especially in PvP. We'll see what he's kind of doing right now. He's getting out his Warp Prism, going to be able to put on a bit of pressure, and with 2 Immortals out on the map, he can maybe get a little bit of damage done with a just Warp Prism drop, but no, he's moved out with his entire army. He has a decent number of sentries as well, so maybe looking to segment off a bit of this army. Oh, gonna lose the Observer. That does kind of sting, but hey, snagging 3 Stalkers and potentially an Immortal over here. No! puCK pushes back the army for PiLiPiLi and says, "You are not gonna get my Immortal." Photon Overcharge also went down. Where is that Warp Prism for PiLiPiLi, though? It is coming all the way straight into the main base, not regrouping with the army. Get able to warp in a couple of Adepts and try and get some big damage done. Or at least pulling this army back. 1 Adept or 3 Adepts already make their way into the natural expansion at the same time that a couple of them were in the main base. And at the same time, PiLiPiLi has an opportunity to push in at the front. Warp Prism very, very low on health and gets pushed back, but he's going to at least be able to take out some of these pylons. And this buys him a little bit more breathing space, or I should say, cuts off the breathing space of puCK. Oh, puCK throwing down a couple of force fields, but not able to snag anything. Very, very close to it, but not quite. Oh, this is a really nice pick off. puCK snagging the Warp Prism. And even gonna be able to get out of here. Oh, loses the Stalker over here. Another Stalker getting very low on health. Another Immortal also having its shields triggered. PiLiPiLi is looking to push on in, and puCK has got to be so careful about moving up and down that ramp, because if he's on the wrong side of that ramp and there's a force field that goes down, sure, the Stalkers can blink over, but those Immortals are going to be stuck on the wrong side for a little bit too long. A couple of Adepts shading their way up into the main base. We'll see how many of them actually manage to make their way over there. A couple of these Adepts for puCK, though, trying to get off a bit of a concave, I should say, or a bit of a flank in a weird way. Soaking up some of the Immortal hits. puCK is losing a lot of his forces over here, and PiLiPiLi is starting to push on through, even if he wasn't able to do a whole lot with the Adepts. I don't think any of the Adepts even made it into the main base. Now, puCK is now forced to pull some of these workers. He's very, very worried about this. More reinforcements come in of Zealots, and this is going to work out very, very well versus the Probe Warp in over here. Not only that, but he's going to be able to soak up a lot of the shots that those Immortals are dishing out. And PiLiPiLi taking a really, really nice lead. Not only is he killing off all the workers, but he's also going to still win the army engagement. And he looks like he might be able to tie up this series 1-1. Some good micro over here from PiLiPiLi, picking up those Stalkers, picking up the Immortals. And there it is. GG. PiLiPiLi tying up the series 1-1. And once again, the winner of the series goes on to face off versus Panda Bear Me in the losers finals, which then goes on to the grand finals to face off versus, well, I guess it's actually not the grand finals. I guess that's the losers finals. So the winner of this faces Panda Bear Me. The winner of that series faces Masa in a qualifying match in the losers finals. So still got a couple of series left over. And this is the ace match. Get your ace matches out in the chat. And of course, I'm waiting for the, I'm anticipating the person who says, it's not an ace match because it's not a team league. Well, no, it's an ace match. Like, this, go look it up. It is ace match. Final game in the series. So I'm just going to preempt that a little bit. But the next map is going to be Invader. Wait, is this a map? A map pool? Invader? Am I going crazy? Okay. I'm an idiot. Oh, right. You're right. I just never see it these days. All right, so yeah, I guess I am going crazy. Invader is a map. I just haven't seen this since the map change. All right. Huey is saying he's had the exact same experience yesterday. I want to thank you guys all so much for tuning in. For those of you who are wondering, since we do have a couple of people have seen it maybe asked once or twice, like, you know, where's Rifkin and Zombie Grub? Rifkin is currently recovering from his high school reunion yesterday. That was last night, so he was out pretty late. And Zombie Grub was casting a Lima League with me earlier today, but I think both of them just kind of wanted a little bit of a break today. So I said, you know what, I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to cast all the stuff on Sunday. So I decided to solo cast the DreamHack North American Qualifiers. And of course, in case you can't tell, I love the North American Qualifiers and I love doing this. So I have absolutely no complaints. But let's go ahead and take it to Invader. See you guys in the ace match. for this best of 3. I'll be damned if I don't love the Invader intro that Nice Username was so kind as to make for me, as he made all of the map intros that you see on from me. BaseTradeTV, Rifkin does his own map intros and everything, but I get all mine from Nice Username, so big shout out to him, because that is my favorite map intro that he's ever made. I just don't get to see it on this map that often, because we don't see this map that often. On Invader, spawning up here in the top right-hand corner of the map, we have the red Protoss player. Not exactly teamless, because he's representing his college. Give it up for puCK. Go Dragons. And his opponent spawning up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, the blue Protoss player from Storm Gaming. Give it up for PiLiPiLi. Yeah, I know, I made a mess up with the Invader thing. It's just I don't see this map that often. So I almost just, like, in my mind, I guess I eventually just categorize it as, like, I haven't seen this map for a while. Therefore, it must be like Prion Terraces and Ruins of Saros and... oh, boy. Are people still complaining it's not the ace match? Yeah. Alright, so Invader is still a pretty interesting map, especially in PvP, just because... the way that it plays out, obviously PvP is one of those matchups that you don't often end up seeing it go to the super duper late game. It's very difficult to see get to that point because oftentimes it's it's very similar to Ling Bling Control in ZVZ, I would say, where the game can end in an instant due to a really, really big disruptor hit, similar to a really big Baneling hit, kind of turning the tide of the battle. But not only that, things like Adept harassment, there's so many different forms of harassment that you can do in this matchup with Oracle openings, Adepts shading on in, Warp Prism harassment with the disruptors moving around. There's a lot of different things. So oftentimes a player just gets significantly further ahead or behind in the earlier stages of the game, and you don't really see it go past the third base, which I think is the biggest thing about Invader, is the third base is so difficult to take. Speaking of harassment, we do have a Stargate opening from puCK. This is what I was talking about. I would say like one in every 9 or 10 games we end up seeing puCK go for a Stargate opening. Oh wow, Photon Overcharge from puCK. PiLiPiLi overstaying his welcome. Ends up losing his Mothership Core. He did manage to kill off one worker, but oh, that's not how many workers you want to kill off if you're going to lose the Mothership Core. And that does leave him susceptible, because look at this, Stargate going to be coming out, Mothership Core is going to be remade. Now, it does come out with enough energy for a Photon Overcharge, but the Oracle is going to be able to bait out a Photon Overcharge, and then it's going to be purely relying on Stalkers for a while to really deal with the defense. So, PiLiPiLi is going to have good positioning on the Stalkers, I suppose, and all of his Stalkers are way over at the front. Not only that, but these pylons, this positioning is really relying on saying, hey, one Photon Overcharge protects this part of the middle line around this area, but there's nothing to protect these mineral patches on the left-hand side. So this Oracle should be able to get some good damage done. puCK. We'll see what he can do. He's also following this up with a Phoenix. Maybe looking to follow it up with a bit more of map control coming out with the Phoenix. This is a map that has a very, very small air distances across the map. But the Oracle's already getting a lot of damage on. 4 workers killed, and he's going to be able to find this nice little sweet spot where there is no Photon Overcharge. Because there's no second Photon Overcharge. The Mothership Core was killed off earlier. Oracle escapes out with 5 worker kills, and PiLiPiLi is going to have to be a bit on the defensive. Nexus finished up is nice. So PiLiPiLi is going to be able to reproduce those workers a little bit faster. Already up 26 or 27 workers. So he's still setting even it's not the worst situation in the world, but having that Oracle alive again adds a lot. And even having the Phoenix around that can also pick up a couple of units if they need to. Ooh, but here we go. Immortal production starts up for puCK. And there is a Warp Prism out for PiLiPiLi. But here's the problem. The Phoenixes are going to really halt any sort of Warp Prism harassment. 2 Phoenixes especially. There's no way you're making it past these 2 Phoenix if puCK is staying defensive with them. If he gets hyper aggressive with them, he starts trying to pick off workers, then yeah, maybe the Warp Prism can sneak its way past the 2 Phoenix. But if these 2 Phoenix are just chilling over here, if they're covering a little bit more area, I think it's going to be nigh impossible for PiLiPiLi to sneak that Warp Prism out. And even if he does, then what does he do? He probably has Adepts in them, and there's nothing to protect the actual Warp Prism. It's not like a normal medevac drop protecting versus the Phoenix with Marines. In fact, it's just, there's no anti-air. And what are you going to do? Try and warp in slowly? Couple of Stalkers to protect the Warp Prism? No, it's just not going to happen. Oh my god, this is so cute. Lifting up the... Oh, he ends up losing the Oracle regardless, but he lifts up the 2 Stalkers that were there to defend. Unfortunately, the Oracle was still in range of the Photon Overcharge, but that almost worked out really, really well. I think a bit of a hallucinated scout coming out from PiLiPiLi, trying to get some information on what is out there for puCK. And should have gotten an idea of, based on the army composition, seeing the Immortal, a couple of Sentries, and some Stalkers. But at this stage in the game, we do have both these players going up for Blink. They're sitting on relatively even economies, even Immortal counts. Having the Warp Prism again is out for PiLiPiLi is nice, and he sends it in the most roundabout path possible. Sends it all along the bottom side, down to the bottom right, and all the way up, just to avoid those 2 Phoenix. That's going to work out pretty well. He might actually even be able to get a cancel on this third if puCK is not able to react quickly enough. You know, the Adepts dropping out and warping in 4 Zealots, it could work out. And it wouldn't be the biggest investment, I don't think, either, for PiLiPiLi to do so. But no, he's going to go straight over to the natural expansion. These Phoenix are still trying to get some nice little pickoffs. I think we have, what, 2 kills? 2 kills? And at least one of those is, well, I guess he didn't ever kill the Warp Prism. Well, most of them are probably just worker kills. Not a lot of dead air space over here, and this is one of the things you do have to be a bit careful of with that Oracle or the Warp Prism, the Phoenix, is that this kind of area over here is not dead space your Phoenix can fly over, your Oracle can fly over. It is a hard wall. And that means that if you have high ground vision, you can actually pick off that Warp Prism when it's sitting up over here. 2 Adepts going to be able to deny a little bit of mining. Only gotten 1 worker kill, and it looks like they're both going to be going down. puCK able to clean those guys up, but puCK securing a nice little worker lead, up about 8 workers, and also getting up his robotics bay a little bit faster than PiLiPiLi, who's just adding on a lot of gateways. Has been sitting on 2 warp gates for quite a bit of time. And PiLiPiLi, with his own 3rd expansion, is going to be able to get out a pretty scary looking forest, but I really do feel like PiLiPiLi is putting a timer on his army. He's got to do a lot of damage with the army he has now, because as this game goes on, not taking up into a robotics bay means that he's not going to have the disruptors. And this does fine when there's 1 or 2 disruptors. You can still take good engagements, which is good micro. But as you start to get up that disruptor count, it gets worse and worse and worse. But here we go. puCK engaging very, very aggressively over here. Some big force fields going down, and these Immortals for both sides are getting a lot of kills. PiLiPiLi has some more Immortals in the mix, though. And I feel like with that, he might have a slight edge with the Phoenix coming in over here for puCK, allowing him to take PiLiPiLi's Immortals out of the fight for a little bit, but the Immortals for puCK are falling a little bit faster. PiLiPiLi taking the engagement. Almost, just barely not able to take the engagement. This is so close. More reinforcements coming in for puCK, and he does win. I mean, a win is a relative term. They both trade out their entire army, and the reinforcements are here. It's just they didn't come across the map for PiLiPiLi. PiLiPiLi retreats on out with 1 Immortal, and what an even set of engagements. But here's going to be the big difference now. Now there is no more Immortals out for puCK, because he is straight into that Disruptor production. Well, I guess there's 1 Immortal out on the map right now for puCK, but it's definitely going to be leading in PiLiPiLi's favor as he's continuing to produce the Warp Prism. Is continuing to produce probably more Immortals after this, as he doesn't still have a Robotics Bay. He does have a Templar Arc, guys, so you can start to get out things like the Archons that are great at soaking up Disruptor hits, as well as even some of the Immortal or Archon hits. Or sorry, I should say Stalker hits. We're trying to get pickoffs wherever he can. PiLiPiLi is dancing about. He's got to be careful because puCK, of course, also has his own. But Blink forward! He doesn't have Blink anymore, and he does lose a couple Stalkers. Minimizes the damage, only losing a couple over here. He should have Blink. Oh, he blinks at the last second and ends up losing a lot of his Stalkers, though. He's going to lose both of his Immortals. I think that just might be a little bit too much. puCK taking a significant lead over here. He still has his Disruptor as well. The Warp Prism goes down, and puCK charges across the map. More reinforcements coming in. And puCK leads up 25 army supply. He charges, he blinks forward, getting whatever pickoffs he can. And I think puCK just might have a little bit too much over here. How do you recover? PiLiPiLi is not the one with the big money maker, playmaker disruptors that can, you know, equalize a game even if it looks like you're behind. He's got to rely on just pure, you know, blink micro and I guess good immortal hits, Warp Prism micro. Even the Warp Prism he ended up losing. It's 14 Stalkers to 20. puCK is leading up not only the Disruptors, but it also has more of these Stalkers. GG gets called. PiLiPiLi saying good luck in the rest of the tournament. And puCK gonna be your victor. Moving on to play versus Panda Bear.